Hi, I'm Lee, and this is my podcast about my handmade life. I'm on Instagram as louleigh_, and Ravelry as louleigh, and I have an Etsy shop where I sell knitting bags called Shop Louleigh, and you can find links to all of my online places at louleigh.com. If I'm twisting around in my chair in a funny way, that is because I have a new chair. It's really comfortable. I really like it, and I might have been sitting here already this morning having a little knit. So the factory has just gotten super ergonomic. I had tried out a saddle chair and it just didn't work for my setup here. I don't think the table was high enough, and I've got a frog in my throat this morning. Oh well, hey ho. Today I'm going to talk about a favourite thing and community news, and there'll be a sock segment, and then some of you had asked about the toiletries and lotion bars and things that I've been making, and so I thought I would talk about that at the end as well. So welcome, it's really nice to have you here. I'm really excited to talk to you because it's been a while. Yeah, and it's nice to be back and having a chat with you and having my first coffee of the day. So, community news. Over in the louleigh Ravelry group, we have the Stash Appreciation Society going along, which is a year-long challenge to appreciate the stuff that you already have in your stash. Yeah, and so we have a monthly prize draw for a pattern prize. Yeah, for people who have knitted projects from their stash. For the purposes of the knit along, stash is 2016 or earlier. So yes, you guys have been making good headway on your stashes, and the winner of this month's prize was Adabar. So get in touch with me. You've won a pattern to the value of $7, and I will give that to me if you message me on Ravelry and let me know which pattern that you'd like. Yeah, I think I said all that in the right order. The other thing that we've been doing in the Ravelry group is the oldest along. And I have been knitting. I haven't finished mine. And I had originally said that the oldest along would come to an end at the end of October and that I would do a draw. And I have done a draw. But I have been knitting my oldest stash, and I have finished the first sock. So my oldest stash was just this orange, and it's a Woolmize colour. I forget the name of the colourway, but it will be on my Ravelry project page, which will be linked in the show notes. Yeah, so I finished one sock, and I'm a goodly, well, I haven't got the heel turn of the second sock, but I'm getting there. So yeah. So the first phase of the oldest along finished at the end of October, and I have drawn for one of my Christmas bags. I decided to put in for the prize my favourite size, which is the mini bag. I use these so often. I really love this size. The bottom is just big enough to fit one yarn cake in there, and it stands up like a little yarn bowl. Anyway, and I love this fabric. It's got little bits of gold in it. Yeah, so this was the prize for the oldest along, and this has been won by Hecky Thump, and I'm going to put some other goodies in with it. So I think I already have your address, so I shall get that in the post to you. But I'm going to carry along the oldest. I'm going to keep going with the oldest along because I want to knit my next oldest yarn and stash. It's some lovely yarn that I got when I was in Iceland a few years ago, and I want to knit the Waiting for Rain pattern. So when I finish my socks, I'm going to cast that on. So I think we should keep that going to the end of the year. That would be lots of fun. And I think some of you said you were keen to carry it on as well. So yeah, good times. So I was also donated a prize from Ellie at Craft House Magic. She sent one for me. This is my one. These little nice drawstring bags. These are lovely and padded as well. and she's done a little bit of fun applique. I've left yours wrapped up because it came wrapped up really beautifully. And then she does her name on the back in free motion and embroidery. And if you saw my efforts at free motion embroidery on Instagram, you will know that I could never manage that. So I've been super impressed. I thought her machine must do a fancy font or something, but no, she does that by hand. Anyway, and what I've decided to do with this is to give it away at the end of the year in the Stash Appreciation Society thread. So I thought I would put together, in the chatter thread, I thought I would put together a little prize pack to send off to someone who's been participating in the chatter all year. I thought that would be good fun. And if you'd like to donate prizes for the Oldest Along or the Stash Appreciation Society or something, then please get in touch with me. And then I rounded up all my whips, and I also totaled up all of my stash in for the year and decided that I really needed to knit 1,000 grams again, and a few of you decided that you wanted to join me. So my plan is to try and knit a kilo of stash yarn before the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which is in March the 14th, I think. Yeah, so I have started a thread over in the Ravelry group, a chatter thread and a finished objects thread. And what you do is you just start one post in the finished objects thread and just keep adding to it as you get towards your 1,000 grams. And I notice some of you are quite close to 1,000 grams, but you have greater goals. So it's just one post per person, and then at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival I will pick up a nice treat for somebody. But yeah, so I think whips count because until they're finished they're still stash, in my mind anyway. So yeah, if you feel like you need to make a bit of a dent in your stash, then come over and join us. Today I am wearing my Edwina shawl, which I really like. This is made out of Jamieson and Smith 2-ply lace weight, and I'm wearing my custom fit cardigan, which is made out of a blacker yarn. I forget which one it is. It's this colour. Yeah, so I haven't been doing a huge amount of knitting, and I'm also just finishing knitting the samples for my next pattern collection, which is really exciting. So what knitting there has been, I can't really show you, but I wanted to talk about one of my favourite things, because my new collection includes a pair of socks and a hat and mittens that's done in 2-colour stranded colour work. And I did a swap with Kate from Hawthorne Cottage, and she sent me this bag. And I've been finding this really, really helpful for doing 2-colour stranded colour work. It's just so well thought out. It has fluff on it, which I shall remove. The bottom is exactly the right size to fit 200 gram yarn cakes in it. So they both, in fact the whole bag is just the right size to have 2 yarn cakes, centre pull yarn cakes side by side. And so they fit in there really nice and snugly. But the thing that I really like is this is the first bag that I've had that has snaps on the top. And I know a lot of other people make them, but I'm just particularly enamoured with this one because of the way it fits the 2 yarn cakes in it, and they don't move around too much. So she's got 3 snaps along the top here that you might be able to see, and what I've been doing is to snap one colour over one side for my stranded colour work, and then to snap the other colour, can I fish it out, over the other side. And then there's enough room in the middle that I can still unsnap that and get my pattern and project in and out. And I am the sort of knitter, as much as I enjoy colour work, I get into a tremendous tangle with it. But this has just been brilliant because it just keeps everything really organised and I don't get my yarns tangled together. And Kate has done such a neat job of this. You should see how she's sewing this button on. This is not how I sew buttons on. If I sewed a button on, all the threads would not be all parallel like that. It's so neat. And it's squishy and soft. So I really like the design of this bag. It's come from Kate at Hawthorne Cottage and Hawthorne Cottage Crafts, and I think it's just that the dimensions of it seem to be really well thought out. So yeah, that is one of my favourite things. The new pattern collection will be coming out in a couple of weeks, so stand by for more about that. I shall be back to talk to you about it. This is the sock segment, and not really much news here. I have been knitting on my birthday socks. I finished one, which is this one, and I'm actually down to the toe on the other one, so I should be finished that one soon too and be able to wear these. They look a bit scrunched up there. There they are. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I love the colourway, and I've decided to make this a birthday tradition. So I think after Christmas I shall start hunting around for a really cool self-striping sock yarn again, so that I can squirrel it away in readiness for my birthday, which is not till September, but it's nice to be prepared. So the yarn that I used is Nomadic Yarns in the Bubbly colourway. Focus on that. And then I used the heel is a mini that I got at Yarndale. You can't really see it there, it looks quite dark. It's a mini that I got at Yarndale from, look, the card is a bit scrunched up, from River Knits. Yeah. I'm not doing a good job of that, but I hope you can see, from riverknits.co.uk. Yeah, so that's been good fun. So the last thing that I'm going to talk to you about today is my forays into making my own toiletries. And this was partly inspired by a tube of Burt's Bees lip balm that I was given, and also by the fact that in the winter I get quite dry knuckles and they crack and bleed. It's like the water just evaporates out of my hands. And in the past I have I've used petroleum products to protect them from cracking, and that's the only thing that's really been successful. But of course I don't want to be using fossil fuels all the time for things like that, so I thought there must be another alternative. And I found quite a few recipes for lotion bars online. And so I had a go at making my own. This is the last one. And that I've used up, I've gifted away or used up all of the rest. And it was super easy to make, actually. This was a bit of a woman-a fancy. I got all the ingredients off Amazon Prime, so it was sort of like, oh, I'll make those tomorrow. Except for the lavender. That comes from the Yorkshire Lavender Farm, so I'd like to say it's local to me. It's about 30 miles away, so I suppose that's local enough. Same county. And this was really easy to do. It's one part beeswax, 1 part coconut oil, and 1 part shea butter. And then I put in the lavender and about 10 drops of lavender essential oil, which you can smell, but it's not super strong. And then I just I put all of the ingredients into a double boiler and melted them down, and then poured them into a silicone chocolate mould. And I find this size quite a good size for using. I go through one of these in just over a week, and that's because I don't just use it on my hands. I use it on my feet, which tend to be quite dry, and elbows and sort of other dry areas as necessary. And I really like them. I'm really enjoying using these. I like the solid format. That's working out really well for me as well. I'll hold it back a bit so it's not blurry. That's working out really well. I think the most telling thing will be when it's really cold in winter, like when it's frosty and snowing, which is when I usually have the biggest problems with my hands cracking. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying using these, and I don't think I shall be bothered to buy normal moisturiser again. I'll just keep making these up as I need them. I think I used about half a cup of each ingredient and made quite a few of these, so I only really need to be making up a little bit at a time, because as I say, 4 of these would last me a month. So yeah, and I'm also looking forward to maybe seeing if I can source some of the ingredients a bit more locally. So maybe see if I can find a beekeeper locally to get the beeswax from, and look at other types of butters that might not come from quite so far away, and oils, and just see how that works out. I think the main thing is, the main barrier, which is I guess what I was getting from the petroleum jelly, will be the beeswax. So it may just mean that I need to put in a greater quantity of beeswax. But as I say, we live in kind of a cooler, mild climate, so this is actually melting against my hand a little bit. Just, I don't know if you can see the sort of shine on my finger there. It's just melting a little as I'm holding it. And I keep them in I keep the sort of stock of them in the fridge and just get out the one that I'm using at the time. I wouldn't put lavender bits, in fact I wouldn't put bits of anything in them again, because they just get everywhere. They fall out as you use them and it's just annoying. So yeah. And I'm not sure I would bother to make them scented again either. I don't think they need to. I don't think that all of my toiletries need to have a different smell so that I end up having a cacophony of smells. I tend to buy unscented things, and then if I want to, I wear a specific smell. So I'm a big fan of stinky things. So yeah, I think I would. The scent is kind of, to me, just a filler, so I think I would leave that out and just put in the basic ingredients. They took about 10 minutes to make, and so it would really be. It's so easy to make up a small stock of these just as I need them, and just to have the raw ingredients in my cupboard. And then I realised that lip balms are pretty much exactly the same recipe. So this week I made these ones. Can you see that? Gonna focus just there. I don't want to smudge the screen. There we go. Yeah, so this is a wee lip balm. I used another chocolate mould, and I haven't filled it up entirely because I wanted these to be quite small. Mainly because I thought it would be more hygienic. Because I'm dipping my finger onto it, I thought it would be more hygienic if it was quite small and got used up quite quickly, and then I would just start on the next one. With these ones, I use the same ingredients, but I only use 2 tablespoons of each ingredient, and I still ended up with about 10 of these little discs. So I mean, it's going to last for quite a long time. I'm not sure I would make up that much anymore. The Burt's Bees that I have actually has a peppermint smell to it, and so I added about 30 drops of peppermint essential oil, which does make it does smell nice, and it does make your lips feel nice and tingly, but I'm not convinced it actually does anything. So I think going forward, what I would do is to, if I'm making up a batch of the lotion bars, if I needed another one of these, I would just make up a little disc of that as well, because I think that's going to last a really long time, even though it's not large. When I say a really long time, I would be surprised if I use this up in a month. So yeah, so it's not something I think I'm going to need a lot of, but it is something that's nice to be able to give away to people. I just package them up in a bit of waxed paper because I just assume that most people will have some sort of container they can pop it into lying around their house. I noticed that some people, especially in hot climates, if they have difficulty with them melting, they put them in contact lens cases, because they tend to have a rubber seal, so it would keep it all together and would actually make it a lot easier to transport. So I might actually saw one of my old contact lens cases in half, and the next time I make it, just pop that into just pour a little bit into the case and use it straight from there. At the moment, I've got one of those little, you know, the little sample pots of jam that you get sometimes. I've got one of these beside my bed in one of those tiny wee little jam jars, and I find that it rubs on the glass. And actually, if you just rub your fingers along the residue on the glass, then that's just enough to put on your lips. So that works out really well. So yeah. I had quite a few questions about that on Instagram, and we were talking about the different types of locally sourced ingredients that we might use, that it would be possible to use, and how that might work. But I'm really enjoying using both of those at the moment, and as I say, I think I'll just keep making them up as I need them. The other thing that I've been making is my own shower gel. I tend to just buy most of my toiletries in whatever shops that are local to me that I'm wandering past at the time. And when I lived in London, that was quite nice because I tended to wander past Kiehl's and Vida and places like that. Whereas here, I wander past Superdrug and Boots and such. And so it's just been a little bit more of a hassle to get some of my favourite body washes. So I had just been using whatever I found in the supermarket, which wasn't as nice. So I decided to have a go at making my own shower gel as well. And so for this one, I think the main ingredients that I've got in here were Castile soap, aloe vera gel, jojoba oil, and a few drops of vitamin E. And I might have put some lemon smell in here as well. The recipe is from a YouTuber called Ella Gale, who I'll link to in the show notes. And when I made the first batch of this, she puts in another ingredient specifically to thicken it. But I already had this dispenser which actually foams it as you dispense. I don't know if I might make a mess of this. Whoops, is that even on? Yeah, so it comes out a little bit foamy like this. And it just makes it that easier. It's quite a runny consistency, but the foaming dispenser just makes it that little bit easier to use. I think if I watered it down, it would probably foam up some more, but I don't really want to water down the ingredients. And I think adding water might also make it go off, might make it go rancid or something. So anyway, so when I made the first batch, I was a little bit skeptical about whether or not I liked it. But by the time I got to the bottom of the container, my skin was noticeably smoother. And I don't know, that may just be because I'm not using a Superdrug or a supermarket body wash that has a much harsher detergent in it. It may just be that the actual soap content is just a lot less harsh and less drying. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. This is another one where I'm quite excited. I'm excited to try ingredients that might be a bit more local to me. So maybe, rapeseed oil is grown and manufactured in Yorkshire, but I'm not sure how that would work in skincare. That's canola oil, for people who live elsewhere. So if you've tried canola oil in skincare, I would be really interested to hear how you got along. And I've seen another recipe as well that had honey in it instead of jojoba. Instead of aloe vera. So I think that would be another interesting one to try. But yeah, I like this a lot, and I don't know if I need it may just be that the Castile soap is milder on my skin that's made the difference, or it may be all that other gumph that's in there. But I'm going to keep using it until I've used up at least one of the ingredients, which will be for quite some time. Yeah, because I really like it. So I hope that was interesting. It's just a little foray that I've had into non-shop bought toiletries, and it's just a fun thing to do, to actually decide what you actually want to be putting on your skin. I don't really want to get into the chemistry of making Castile soap or making solid soap, because that would mean that I had to have a stash of quite a few different ingredients and some specialist equipment, whereas I like the recipes where I can just mix things together quite easily and make something that is really effective and works really well for me. So that's my aim really with it all. Yeah. If you do make your own toiletries, I would love to hear from you and hear about what sorts of things you use, how you source products locally. Yeah, that would be lots of fun. And if you're thinking about having a go, just do it, because it's dead easy. There's loads of information on the YouTubes, and if you look around, you don't actually need a lot of different ingredients for all of the things that you might need. So, that's one of the things that I like about the louleigh recipes, because she tends to only use about 10 different ingredients across all of the different things that she's making. Whereas when you look at some books and some other websites, you kind of need a whole raft of different stuff every time you make a different sort of product for a different part of your body. And I think too, it's quite fun to rummage around in your food stores to see if there's something in there that you might be able to use in your own toiletries as well. So yeah, good fun. So that was all from me for today. It's been so nice to come and have a chat with you, and I really hope that you'll come and join us in the Ravelry group, and I really hope to be back sooner than a month, but it's a busy time of year, so yeah, I'll see you again soon. Cheerio!